That's a good choice.
Chris Pine has a fresh take on Star Trek IV, and he believes a smaller-scale movie might actually be better. Pine, who's expressed curiosity about stepping back into Captain Kirk's shoes, has mentioned that he's a lot older now, adding an interesting perspective to the role. Some folks might be wondering if Star Trek IV is even happening, but rest assured it's still in development. Here's everything we know about the upcoming film so far. We have to agree with Chris Pine on this one. Star Trek IV should scale down its ambitions. Pine has suggested that the film would benefit from a more modest budget and a focus on story and character development rather than just action and explosions. Pine, who's played Captain James T. Kirk in 3 J.J. Abrams-produced Star Trek films, now brings a director's perspective to the table. Even though his directorial debut, Pullman, didn't get rave reviews, his instincts about Star Trek IV seem spot on. J.J. Abrams' Star Trek revitalized the franchise with its dynamic, high-energy reboot. Abrams' vision injected new life into Star Trek, with an impressive cast including Pine, Zachary Quinto as Spock, and Carl Urban as Dr. McCoy. However, as Abrams' films grew in scale, their impact lessened. It's been 8 years since Star Trek Beyond, and Paramount Pictures is still trying to figure out the future of the franchise. Pine's suggestion to downsize might be just what's needed. Star Trek IV should cater to its dedicated fan base rather than trying to appeal to a broader audience. Unlike franchises like Star Wars or Marvel Studios, Star Trek's fan base, though passionate, isn't as vast. Pine believes that instead of competing with these larger franchises, Star Trek IV should focus on the elements that true fans cherish: character-driven stories, moral dilemmas, and intricate puzzles. This would be a welcome change from the grandiose galactic threats seen in Abrams' films. Even Quentin Tarantino's abandoned idea for Star Trek IV, a gangster film inspired by the 1960s episode A Piece of the Action, was a step in the right direction. Though it likely wouldn't have met Paramount's expectations for a big box office hit, Tarantino's vision for a smaller-scale Star Trek movie was intriguing. Pine's perspective aligns with this approach. A film focused on the characters rather than a grand crisis would resonate more with the core Star Trek audience. And if the film is genuinely good, word of mouth can draw in a wider audience. Trying to go bigger is actually what's keeping Star Trek IV from coming together. J.J. Abrams' Star Trek films went all out with explosive events like Vulcan's destruction, near wars with the Klingons, and massive space stations on the brink of annihilation. So, how do you top that? The answer is, don't. Instead, it might be better to scale things back and focus on the characters of the Starship Enterprise that fans already love. For instance, the chaos created by Krall in Star Trek Beyond, though intense, doesn't stick with me as much as moments between the characters, like Kirk's heartfelt exchange with Spock, where he asks, "What would I do without you?" and Spock responds dryly, "I don't know." Or Jayla calling Kirk James T., and Commodore Paris offering sympathy about the vastness of space. These personal, character-driven moments are what really resonate. On top of that, Toby Haynes is working on an untitled Star Trek origin movie, which is set to hit theaters before Star Trek IV. Star Trek IV is being touted as the final chapter for Chris Pine's crew on the USS Enterprise, and perhaps the challenge lies in creating a story that feels appropriately grand. But maybe the answer is to focus on the characters' personal stories now that they're in middle age, and explore their relationships and what they mean to each other. Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is cherished not just for its epic moments, but also for its deep exploration of friendship, aging, and mortality. For Star Trek fans, personal stakes often outweigh the fate of the galaxy. Following Chris Pine's lead and crafting a great story centered on the Enterprise's family could bring more satisfaction and resonate more deeply with fans than yet another high-stakes, big-budget spectacle. Furthermore, Chris Pine has been pondering what it would be like to play Captain Kirk now that he's in his 40s. He mentioned, "In terms of the next phase of Star Trek, obviously you're all fans, so I'm sure you've read it. We all like one another a lot. I'm good friends with everybody I've worked with. We have a great time doing it. I'm a lot older now, so I would be curious where that next story lands us in terms of what it would be and what we've said in the press." If we think about Pine's middle-aged Kirk, it could offer a fresh and fascinating perspective in Star Trek IV. Pine, who was 29 when J.J. Abrams' Star Trek came out, brought a youthful energy to the role that resonated with both old and new fans. By the time of Star Trek Beyond, Pine's Kirk had matured, moving from a brash young captain to a more seasoned leader, even hinting at a future as Admiral Kirk. The next Star Trek film to hit theaters is an untitled Star Trek origin movie, a prequel set well before Abrams' trilogy. This film will explore humanity's early interactions with aliens and the formation of the Federation. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the prequel is rumored to take place largely on Earth and is designed to be accessible to new fans who might not be familiar with the extensive Star Trek lore. As for Star Trek IV, Pine's portrayal of a Kirk nearing 50 could be one of the film's most intriguing elements. After nearly a decade since Star Trek Beyond, Pine, now 43, has the opportunity to bring a new layer to his character. However, the film's development has been troubled. Paramount Pictures, despite owning the crown jewel franchise, has struggled to achieve the box office success of other major franchises like Star Wars or Marvel Studios. THR's report provides additional context. Paramount is developing 2 Trek films. One, the prequel directed by Toby Haynes, aims to attract new audiences by focusing on Earth and early Federation history with a script by Seth Grahame-Smith. This film is seen as a potential entry point for those not well versed in the Star Trek universe. The other film would star Chris Pine and his crew, including Zachary Quinto and Zoe Saldana. Although the cast is reportedly eager to return, previous attempts to move forward with this installment have hit snags. An announcement from 2016 faltered over salary disputes, and a 2022 announcement took the cast by surprise before director Matt Shakman left for Marvel's Fantastic Four. Now, Paramount has enlisted Steve Yockey, creator of The Flight Attendant, to tackle a new script aimed at being the final voyage for Pine's crew. The untitled Star Trek origin movie, directed by Toby Haynes, has sparked some concern among fans, especially about its potential impact on the Star Trek canon. Fans may not see familiar characters or iconic starships, which could be a disappointment for those who cherish the classic elements of the franchise. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below.